Your baseball team sucks. Okay, that's rude, but today we're going to be a little mean to all the teams in Major League Baseball. It's March 8th, spring hopes are eternal, every team has a clean slate and a fair chance at winning the World Series this year. But today, I'm going to throw some cold water on all the positivity and tell you why your team is not going to win the World Series in 2021. Okay, so the Pirates, Rockies, Rangers, Orioles, and Tigers, your teams will not win the World Series. Honestly, it's really quite simple. Your teams are garbage. The Pirates traded away the only real MLB talent that they had on their team this offseason with Joe Musgrove, Josh Bell, and Jameson Taillon. The Rockies made one of the worst trades in Major League Baseball history, sending $50 million to the Cardinals to take Nolan Arenado. The Texas Rangers are devoid of talent at every position on the diamond, and the same can be said for the Baltimore Orioles or the Detroit Tigers. These 5 teams are all in a rebuild, and unless the other 25 teams in the league fold up as franchises, none of these 5 teams will win the World Series in 2021.
Boom. Roasted.
Next up, the Diamondbacks, Mariners, Royals, Giants, and Marlins. The Diamondbacks won't win the World Series because their lineup is about as weak as SpongeBob before he got his anchor arms. Their only threat is Ketel Marte, and he won't be enough to carry them past the Dodgers or the Padres. The Mariners won't win the World Series because they only have one player in the top 100 list for Major League Baseball. Kyle Lewis is the only Mariner to make the top 100 list in Major League Baseball, ranking in at number 93. The Royals will not win the World Series because their rotation is trash. This year, the Royals are hoping that Brad Keller and Brady Singer develop into the frontline starters that they're supposed to be. The San Francisco Giants will not win the World Series this year because they're paying Evan Longoria $38 million over the next 2 seasons at the age of 35. Okay, that's not the only reason. The Giants are also devoid of talent in their lineup as well as their starting rotation. And the Marlins will not win a World Series because they have a horrible lineup that features Jesus Aguilar, Lewis Brinson, and Jorge Alfaro as their big sluggers.
Boom. Roasted.
Next, the Cubs, the Angels, the Phillies, the Red Sox, and the Reds. The Cubs will not win the World Series because they're going to trade at least one of Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, or Anthony Rizzo this season. The Cubs have not offered contract extensions to any of those 3 players, and I fully believe that at least one, if not all 3 of those guys will be traded during this season. The Angels won't win the World Series this year, well, because we all know they don't have any pitching. The Angels yet again neglected addressing their starting rotation this offseason. Shohei Ohtani and Jose Quintana have looked good during the spring so far, but they needed a true ace to anchor that rotation. Going over to the East Coast, the Phillies will not win the World Series this year because they have the worst bullpen in baseball. Last year, the Phillies bullpen ERA was the worst in baseball history, and they didn't sign any of the top relievers available on the free agent market this year. Archie Bradley and Matt Moore aside, they don't look much improved in that department. The Red Sox will not win the World Series this year because they're still in the rebuild era under new GM Chaim Bloom. They didn't make any big splashes this offseason, and just like the Angels, they have a weak starting rotation that's been decimated by injuries over the last few years. And the Cincinnati Reds will not win the World Series this year because their biggest free agent addition was Sean Doolittle. Meanwhile, the Reds allowed Trevor Bauer to walk away during free agency. Just like the Cubs, I expect the Reds to be selling off on guys like Eugenio Suarez, Sonny Gray, and Luis Castillo by the trade deadline this season.
Boom. Roasted.
Next up, the Cardinals, the Athletics, the Brewers, the Nationals, and the Indians. The Cardinals will not win the World Series because their rotation simply isn't enough. Jack Flaherty is coming off injury and the worst season of his career in 2020. Adam Wainwright is in the twilight of his career, and Carlos Martinez has still yet to put it all together. The Athletics will not win the World Series because they can't get past the first round of the playoffs. The Athletics are as good a bet as any team in the American League West to win that division. But as soon as they make the playoffs, the Athletics never seem to have enough to make it past the first round. Congratulations on another playoff berth. You're going home only a few days later with a lower draft pick than the other teams in the league. The Milwaukee Brewers will not win the World Series because they're moving Keaston Hiura to first base. The Brewers signed Colton Wong this offseason to play second base and are moving top prospect Keaston Hiura to play first base, a position that Hiura has never played in his big league career, or the minor leagues, or college. Keaston Hiura has never played first base. I like the addition of Colton Wong, but it's just a weird decision by the Brew Crew. The Nationals will not win the World Series because they have questions in their rotation concerning the health of Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg. Last year, both Strasburg and Scherzer missed almost the entire season. They also have a very one-dimensional lineup. They're good for about 200 strikeouts from both Josh Bell and Kyle Schwarber, and probably about 25 fielding errors in left field from the latter of that group. The Indians will not win the World Series because they have a payroll under $40 million this year. The Indians traded Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco this year. And in all likelihood, it seems like the Indians will be willing to trade Jose Ramirez at some point before the deadline this season.
Boom. Roasted.
Next, the White Sox, Twins, Blue Jays, Rays, and Astros. The White Sox won't win the World Series because their new manager is Tony La Russa. At the ripe age of 76, how will Tony La Russa relate to a young team? How will he adopt and utilize analytics? And can he even handle the travel and day-to-day logistics of a 162-game season? The Minnesota Twins will not win the World Series because, just like the Athletics, they can't make it past the first round of the playoffs. Almost every year, the Twins make the playoffs. And almost every year, the Twins play the Yankees. And every year that happens, the Twins get eliminated by the Yankees in the first round of the playoffs. Sorry, Twins fans, but until you exercise that demon, you're not winning the World Series. The Blue Jays won't win the World Series because their starting rotation is average at best. Hyun-Jin Ryu is nice, but unless Nate Pearson develops into a top-line starter, the rest of that rotation just doesn't do it for me. The Blue Jays lineup may score 10 runs in a game, but that pitching staff may give up 11. The Rays won't win the World Series because they lost two of the best starting pitchers in their rotation. After trading Blake Snell and declining Charlie Morton's option, the Rays replaced them with Michael Wacha, Chris Archer, and Rich Hill. Yikes. And the Astros won't win the World Series this year because, last I checked, there won't be any more trash cans in their dugout.
Boom. Roasted.
And the last 5 teams, the Mets, the Braves, the Yankees, the Padres, and the Dodgers. The Mets won't win the World Series for a few different reasons. Number one, they're one of the least fundamentally sound teams that have this high of expectations. They run themselves out of innings on the bases and are a terrible fielding team. But even worse, their bullpen. Edwin Diaz continues to mount under pressure, and Yuris Familia and Dellin Betances do their best to avoid the strike zone at all costs. The Atlanta Braves won't win the World Series this year because, like the Twins and Athletics, they have a playoff bugaboo. Last year, they blew a 3-1 series lead to the Dodgers in the NLCS. The year before that, the Braves lost to the Cardinals in the divisional series. The Braves are a great team, but their recent playoff performance leaves me wondering if they'll ever get atop that hill. The Yankees won't win the World Series because half their roster is always on the injured list. From Aaron Judge to Giancarlo Stanton, the Yankees spend the most time on the injured list year in and year out. Yeah, they can both bench 500 pounds, but they can't make it through a full 162-game season. The Padres won't win the World Series because they still need to overcome their arch nemesis, the Dodgers. No matter how many new faces they brought in or how many times they changed the jerseys, the Padres are still the Padres. And last, the Dodgers won't win the World Series until they prove to me they can do it in a full regular season. Last year, the Dodgers were the Texas Roadhouse champions. They were the best team in a 60-game sprint in neutral playoff sites. If the Dodgers want to shut people up like me, they have to do it after a full 162 in front of hostile fans in the playoffs.
Boom. Roasted.
And that is why your team sucks and won't win the World Series in 2021. Who was I right about and who was I wrong about? Here's your guys' chance to tell me, why does your team suck and why won't they win the World Series in 2021? And as always, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching. I have been your host, Tony Metro.